Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, the Oklahoma Commitment Sweatshirt, coming back on a Friday afternoon. And this one, man, it's hard not to like this one if you're an Oklahoma fan. Four-star linebacker Jacob Curry committing to Oklahoma. Now, there's two things that jump out. Number one, I think this kid's a really damn good football player. Number two, more importantly, man, does he fit what Jim Nagy and Brent Venables are clearly looking for at the linebacker position. Go look at the other linebackers that are committed to Oklahoma in 2026. Ja'Cory Smith, both the Jandrio brothers, undersized at this point, but hyper athletic, a lot of versatility flying around the football field. That is exactly what Jacob Curry brings to this Oklahoma defense. And that's a good starting point to this conversation. I'll say this, and the Oklahoma fans who've been rocking with the boys for a while know this. There is not a program that fascinates me more when it comes to building their roster than what Jim Nagy's doing at Oklahoma. And the thing I appreciate the most is it feels really methodical. There are a lot of other programs that just throwing a lot of money around and trying to grab as many stars as they can and put them on their roster. Oklahoma, they're not going out and star chasing. They're leaning on their evaluations and they're saying, hey, we want to find good football players. We don't want to overspend for good football players. And we want guys that fit what we want to do on both sides of the football. And Jacob Curry, he is that to a T. And I look at Jacob Curry and say, hey, look, the recruiting rankings might not jump out to you. Now, you beat out Ohio State. You beat out Florida State. And look, Ohio State was going after this kid. They had him on an official visit, I believe, last weekend. It's a big recruiting win for Oklahoma in 2026. And again, I think he really fits what Brent Venables wants. Now, I want to talk Jacob Curry for a second, but I also want to talk about where Oklahoma goes when it comes to roster building, when it comes to talent acquisition, because when you talk about it with Oklahoma, it's a little bit of a different conversation because Jim Nagy, he's doing things a little bit differently. Before we get into it, as always, to the Oklahoma fans, and man, especially to the Oklahoma fans who've been rocking with the boys for a very long time. It has been a blast talking about this team, whether we're talking about them winning in the fall, whether we're talking about them landing commitments in the summer. This fan base, man, has been really good to the boys. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this one. Now, let's start real quick with Jacob Curry. Number one, versatility. I mean, you turn on you got a portion of his senior year film in. He's coming off the edge rushing the passer. He's playing off ball linebacker, playing a little overhang, at times playing a little bit of nickel defender, playing safety as well. This kid can do it all as a second level defender for Oklahoma. What really stands out to me is his ability to come off the edge as a pass rusher. I mean, and we know for a fact that Brent Venables calling this defense, he wants to incorporate his linebackers as difference makers in the pass rush. Jacob Curry, man, if he was 3 inches taller and 20 pounds bigger, I'd be totally comfortable with this kid just coming off the edge and being an edge defender for Oklahoma because he has some serious juice and ability coming off the edge. But then you look at him playing off-ball linebacker and say the instincts are really, really impressive. He is consistently fitting the run the right way, consistently finding the football, has some serious ability to close the distance between himself and the ball carrier. This is a guy that, again, good football player, solid athlete, but really fits what Oklahoma is looking for. Now, the next conversation, the last thing I have in my notes, motor. Dude plays really hard. And I promise you, Jim Nagy and especially Brent Venables, they always look for that when they're adding kids from the high school ranks. What's next? This is, to me, a very intriguing conversation. And I look at Oklahoma and say, look, they're obviously a very good football team in 2025. I think a team that can do some real damage in the college football playoffs, but just as importantly, and go look at the runway. They'll have some good football players to replace. Ain't no doubt about that. There's a lot of young talent that Oklahoma has that are really good football players. What does it look like over the next 6 months? We've already seen Oklahoma get off to a monster start building the 2027 cycle. How aggressive does Oklahoma get in the transfer portal? Because they haven't been super aggressive in 2026, and that doesn't mean Oklahoma is afraid to spend money. Because guess what? Bo Bentley, or a guy like Jay Cruel, that those guys did not come cheap. Oklahoma really liked both of those cats, and they were very comfortable pushing their chips in for both of them. But I think in general, Oklahoma's been pretty conservative. All right, well, what does that mean when we get into that winter transfer portal and Oklahoma is potentially sitting on some real resources? How aggressive does Jim Nagy get? What positions does he really value in the portal? That's something that I'm really interested in, because I'll say this: when we didn't get to, what's the best way to say it? We didn't get a great feel for Jim Nagy. He wasn't even at Oklahoma during that winter portal window. But when Jim Nagy got to Oklahoma early in the spring and that second spring transfer portal came around, you saw Oklahoma. There weren't that many good football players available, but the guys that were available, you saw Jim Nagy get pretty damn aggressive. And so, what does that mean when there's better players available coming up in the winter portal? Does Jim Nagy try to push his chips in and get some really good football players because they weren't all that aggressive in 2026? We'll see. Very, very excited to see it. And we've seen Jim Nagy again. It's been patient. It's been methodical. We're not gonna go throw, 6, 7 figures to a guy like Felix Ojo when we don't think he can play for us for the first 2 years. We're gonna go get guys that either we think can be immediate dudes, like someone like Jay Cruel, or we're gonna go get guys that we think we can develop into good football players. That's exactly what Jacob Curry is, right? I don't think Jacob Curry comes in year one and has a monster impact. I think one, he needs to get more comfortable playing the off-ball linebacker spot. Number two, he's got to put on some weight. Well, guess what? Oklahoma's sitting on some money. And so do they in the portal after the season closes? Is that when they really decide to push in their chips, start throwing some weight around? Because I think that's probably the plan. We saw Jim Nagy get really damn aggressive in the spring. Will he do it in the winter? And again, that's months off. We got to focus on winning football games in 2025 and making a college football playoff run and competing for the SEC, because I fully believe Oklahoma has the ability to do that. But when you're a program like Oklahoma, the expectation is not just once in a blue moon, go out and compete for a championship. We want to do this stuff every single year, which means you got to be planning ahead. I promise you, Jim Nagy's already getting his portal strategy in place, even with Oklahoma sitting with an undefeated record, projected college football playoff team. We'll cover it a lot in the winter. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about regarding Oklahoma coming up over the next couple of days and weeks. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we going to talk to y'all later. Peace.